You're not sure what to wear? What next?
You're listening to another Torched original. Are you feeling stuck when it comes to creating content for you and your business? Would you like a podcast of your very own? Or maybe you'd like to stand out and reach new audiences? Head to gettorched.com. That's GETTORCHT.com today, and we look forward to helping you on your content creation journey. And now, enjoy the show.
Got a very fun episode today. I've invited someone that quite literally changed my world in terms of fashion. Meagan, welcome, and thank you so much for giving up your time. I know you're super busy. Fashion stylist and photographer extraordinaire, I hear.
Yes.
So before I hand over to you, I just want to set up how you literally changed my world. So being a female, you kind of have this expectation, I believe, that you should know what to wear, how you should look, and what your style is. You hear this in the fashion industry and Instagram and everything. What's your style? And for me, I think I was very unclear for a long time. And it was a couple of years ago, it must have been pre-COVID or during COVID, where my gorgeous husband, who knows what I need before I need it, or maybe he was sick of my whinging, bought me a service to your business. And essentially we spent 6 hours together, and I quite honestly was dreading it. A fashion stylist, I was petrified. I hate shopping. How am I going to fill out 6 hours? So we had 3 hours at my home in my wardrobe, and then we had 3 hours shopping. And how this relates to wellness, I think, is a huge connection, because how you look and feel helps your mental health. And then financially, you don't waste a heap of money. So I figured that if you could help me, then there's other people that need to hear about you. So over to you, Meagan. Talk to us about you.
Well, I was just going to mention, as you said, you're dreading it. You'd be surprised how many people feel like that. Like particularly if they're a gift, like you received a gift and you turn up and it's like, how do you feel about, receiving this gift? And everyone's like, yeah, okay. And then after it's like, oh my God, that was better than I thought. Because I think people think I'm going to be, I am a little bossy, but not the boss, or critical, or think I'm going to just be, it's my way or the highway type of thing. I feel like
I pictured a supermodel to start with.
Yeah. I'm a normal person, and I feel like people think they're going to get bullied into what I feel they should be. They don't realise it's more about them than it is me. I remember I turned up at one meeting once and I had all my skull rings on, and the client was terrified, and she's like, don't worry, you're not going to dress like me. So that's the big thing I think I try and quell in people, and that's why I sit and have a chat with you first, so I can quell that anxiety that you might have about what is this all about, and I get straight into the logistics and the logic behind what I'm doing. So I think
that's what was powerful, was that sit down chat. Yeah. Like I had no idea, which is probably why I had no idea about what to wear, is that there is such not a science or an art to it. It's not complicated once you know what to look for.
No, I feel like a lot of people think they are worse than they actually are, and I think it's because we get fatigue of looking in our own wardrobes and going, what the hell am I going to wear today, because I'm sick of wearing X, Y or Z, and it feels like you need to burn everything and start again. And when when you get fresh eyes in, it's realised actually I'm not too bad. And I say this, I've dressed thousands of men and women, and I think I've only had probably 2 or 3 that I would say would be Dire Straits level, and for completely different reasons. Most people dress themselves their whole life, are pretty good at what they need. It's just a picking up and putting back on the rails again, I think. And the approach that I have towards it is very logical, as you would remember, very formulaic. Here's what you do. There's nothing, you don't have to think too hard. You don't have to, be the oracle of fashion. Here's just some really good tips, some really good logical things that you can do. I can't think of any words to say, but what I mean? Just putting you on the path of making your fashion life easy, because it's only clothes. You shouldn't have to stress about that part of your life. It's bad enough.
Well,
that
you
we have
take
to
the
think,
thinking out of it. You take the emotion out of it.
yeah,
I think
it's hard enough to think about what you're going to cook every night for dinner or what you're going to eat or what you're going to do. Like, fashion shouldn't be a hard part or a heavy part of your life.
So how did you get into the fashion styling and photography? Like, I've looked at your photography work. It's really different. And we were just having that conversation. You've got a photo shoot coming up.
Yes.
You're quite different, edgy, or I don't even know if that's a word, but
well, the styling happened quite. It was planned, and the photography was more organic. So, in terms of styling, I was working a corporate job, and I'm a little bit older than the average person. So I'm in my mid-50s. So when I was at school and during high school, we just didn't have the range of topics or subjects available to us. I was never a uni person, never intended to go to. Had someone told me I could do photography at uni, I probably would have. But it's like, no, got straight out and started working, had a job at 15. I'm a worker, I'm a doer, I'm not a studier.
Yep.
So worked my way up through corporate. I worked in the body care, beauty care industry. My first job was in retail in the music industry. That was awesome.
Wow, that would have been, no wonder you rock out.
18 years old.
Rock out in your bedroom.
Rock and roll. It was brilliant. And then I moved overseas and started working in the beauty body care area, and that became my career. So I worked my way up through to a fairly senior position, which was great doing that through the 80s and 90s because you didn't need the MBA, you didn't need the degree.
Yes.
It was all about work and experience, which was awesome. So I ended up in a pretty senior position, loved it, absolutely loved it. And then I remember the exact moment I was doing a spreadsheet, sitting in my office doing a spreadsheet, and the Excel spreadsheet on the top got to triple letters, and which meant it was massive. It was a forecasting spreadsheet, and it got to triple letters. And I sat back in my chair and go, "What the hell am I doing?" Like I'm not I'm a people person. Even though I had a lot of staff and I was out in the field a lot, I'm not a spreadsheet kind of person. So I just sat and had a little think about what I want to do. And styling is something that I'd always been the person that did it for friends and family for years and years and years. Like I was always the person you took shopping, was always the person you asked advice from, always very experimental with my own fashion, always very happy to have a crazy haircut, always happy to try something new. So I sat and wrote a business plan and a marketing plan, and I was in a position in my work where I could create a position for myself. So I created a 2-day-a-week position.
Oh my God, our stories are similar.
Yeah.
No, well, not fashion, but
it's created a 2-day-a-week position while I built my business, and I did that for about a year until I was busy enough to be full time. And it's quite funny with the marketing plan that I wrote a whole list of things I could do, and number one on the list was contact a female gym, which was Fernwood. So, and contact them to see if I could do anything with them or do some cross promotion with them, maybe do some talks in their gyms and that type of thing. And I got hold of their marketing manager, who's now a really good friend of mine. And she just straight away went, yes, this is exactly what I've been looking for.
Absolutely.
And so everything else on that marketing list never got ticked off because the Fernwood was so successful for kicking my business off.
Yeah.
So I did a whole thing of doing talks all around the different Fernwood gyms, gave away some prizes for they were having, events,
Yep.
And so giving away some prizes. And that was nearly 15 years ago, and I'm still getting people who say, I saw you talk at Fernwood and book me in.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that keeps giving, and, word of mouth is basically where I get all my clients from now. So that's where it started, and it just kicked off
Snowballed from there.
Yeah. And I started off with any business. You start off offering a range of services, and then you sort of funnel it down into the things that work best and the things that are most effective cost-wise and productive-wise. So that's where it is at the moment.
So much to talk about. So we haven't touched on photography.
No,
that was organic.
Yeah, my dad was a very good enthusiast photographer. So he wasn't professional, but he had all the pro gear. So he gave me my first SLR camera when I was, I think, about 9 or 10. Every photo of me as a kid is either patting an animal or a camera in my hand. So, and we had darkroom at home, and so I just grew up doing it. Just like we had a sewing machine always on our table because my grandmother, mum, and auntie were all sewers.
Right.
So I can sew as well. So it's just one of the things you did.
God, I can't even sew a button on. So.
Oh no, I used to make my own patterns and things. So fashion's always been a big part of my life.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You know, it's interesting that you say that. I feel like you've either got it or you haven't.
Yeah.
And that's why I really respect what you do, because instead of keeping that to yourself, you're sharing that with others. And I look at my sister-in-law, for example, she always looks classy.
Yeah.
Whatever she wears, she could have something from Big W on, or she could have something, you know, high-end fashion, and she always looks classy. And I think that's what I wanted. You know, I was sick of looking, like you said, looking in my wardrobe, hating everything I had, you know, trying to go out to a function or event was so traumatic because you were exhausted from trying every single outfit on in your wardrobe. And we'll touch on how you a little bit of a tip for that. Yep. But, you know, for me, when you're young, you can pretty much wear anything. I found, and as you get older, you know, things change. And for me, having a double mastectomy really changed. So what I used to be able to wear, I was still trying to wear, and it wasn't working. So we sat down and we chatted, and there was a couple of big moments for me that really stuck. That one was the colour. Yep. You stood me in front of a mirror. Like, yes. Do you want to talk about that? Because that was really cool.
That's part of what I do. Like, there's colour theory is there are people who specialise in it, and you can go and spend an hour with somebody and they can drill down to your exact tonal colours.
Just because I had no idea that was a thing.
I tend to take more of a casual view on colour. Like, I think I spoke to you about it. It's a nice to know, not a absolute necessity. Like, I'd much rather you in a shape that works for you than a colour that's perfect.
But do you know where that comes in really critical is when you do, I used to get overwhelmed going into shops.
Yes.
I can now go to a colour and know, or walk past a colour and not even waste my time looking at that.
Well, that's where it's powerful. So if you walk into a store that can be overwhelming, half of the stock melts away because you take the colour out of it. So colours are really good, nice to know. So I work on the seasonal colour palette, which is spring, summer, autumn, winter. And what it means is the colours that are in season in that in nature in that season are the ones that suit you best. So, for example, you know, myself, I'm a winter, so I tend to suit colours that are cold and icy. And
so how do you know, like I know you know, but I remember standing in front of the mirror and I said this exact question. How do you know, if when you're not here with me, how am I going to know, aside from the document you gave me, how do I know what colour is going to work for me? And
well, this is where I give you that document and give you, and what I think I said to you on the day is close enough is good enough, because I did have a client many years, and this is why I say this, I'm sort of, I had a client, God, it would have been 10 years ago, and she was so obsessed in the colour that she was running around with her little, you know, PDF swatch.
I've got mine on my phone.
Being so pedantic and perfect and sending me, you know, text after text, is this right, is this right, is this right? And it's like, it's not perfect. Like, there's no good colours, there's no bad colours. And I think I said to you on the day, I love the colour orange, but if I wear it, I look like I'm dead.
Yeah. So it's and that's the key there is.
Yeah. It's if your skin looks quiet and calm and soft, then it works for you. Treat it like I call it nature's Botox. So if you wear a colour that works for you, your skin should look calm and soft, and your eyes look bright. If you wear a colour that fights against your skin tone, like me in orange, I look like I'm completely dead. My eyes are dull. I look like I've been on the drink for a few days. Like, it's just not healthy.
And it actually works. I remember standing there and I'm like, I can't wear yellow, da-da-da. And you go, no, you can. But you shouldn't wear white. I'm like, what do you mean? Everyone wears white. And you go, look at this. You can wear a slightly off-white, and I remember standing there, and I did my skin, and another thing that I would say when you're saying, like, got my big bright colour on today, not that anyone can see, but it is bright. I don't even know what you call it, lime or fluorescent or something. But I remember, you know, thinking I can never wear a bright colour because I don't want to stand out. But you said if the colour's right, the colour doesn't stand out, you stand out.
Absolutely. And that is particular for your particular skin tone, because your skin tone wears bright and warm colours. But, I completely agree with that. If there's colours that you like that aren't in your palette, of course wear them. Like, I wear orange all the time, but it's in earrings and pants and shoes and all those sorts of things. There's no good colour, bad colour. It's just colours that are better for you. And what you'll probably hopefully find today is I'm not super strict. I'm pretty cash. Like it's all about it's client led, not me led. So if there's colours that you want to wear, of course wear them. But I really focus on the colours that are next to my skin, like the ones that are right under my chin. So I'll often wear whatever colour, but under my chin is usually bang on my colour, bang on.
Yeah, and I think you cut. Well, I feel like I know now. When you put something on, does it feel right?
Yeah. So when I'm working with clients, it's not only about here's your colour palette, because there'll be colours in that palette you like and some you don't, and that's fine. It's more about teaching you to recognise how the colour works on your skin. So when you're in the change room and you don't have access to me or access to all the swatches that I have, you can put a colour on and go, oh no, I look unwell in this. And then you can make the decision whether you just use it, buy it and choose to wear more makeup that day, or whether you want something that actually works for your skin a bit better. So it gives you more tools, I think, in your belt to make informed decisions.
Definitely has. Yep. The other profound moment for me was, and I tell this to everybody, and it's probably something you say without even thinking about the impact, but it really landed for me, and it was clothes have no emotion.
Yeah,
do you want to talk about that?
I'm super excited about this. Clothes have no emotion. This is something I've worked with for years. It's my own little philosophy that I've had for years, and it springs to a story many years ago. I used to drive home from work, and I used to drive home past Chadstone, and quite often on a Thursday night I'd have a self-esteem day where I'd drive home, pop into Chadstone, try stuff on for the hell of it because I love fashion.
My worst nightmare.
Really?
Well, not now.
A lot of people do, but I just thought, you know what, let's just see, and I'd have a bit of a self-esteem day, just trying different things on. And I remember this one particular day I needed some trousers, and I picked up some trousers, and I walked past this pair of what I like to call clown pants, and they were grey and charcoal and blue checked, crazy looking trousers. It was the 90s, they were pretty cool. And I went, you know what, I'll just try them on. I put them on, and they were the most amazing trousers ever. And the lesson I took away from that is I cannot have a thought on the shop floor, which is why I think I say a lot to my clients, there's no opinion on the shop floor. We go looking for shapes that work for you, try them on, then we decide. Because I taught myself that day that it's not about what you're looking for, it's about what happens in the change room. So I'll walk you through the philosophy so you can help to understand it. So the thing about clothing is it's just clothes. There's nothing to die for. They should be utilitarian. If you calculate dollar per wear, each item should owe you money after a year. They are absolute things. If you had to leave the house in a hurry, you wouldn't be grabbing clothes. So I like to see them and too many people I feel put too much weight into clothing. Like in people's wardrobes, for example, it's like, oh no, I can't get rid of that. I paid good money for it. It's like, but you haven't worn it for 5 years. So I think we need to treat clothing more like we do food or nights out or experiences. Like it was really great at the time. Now it's over. Now it's time to let go. So there's this emotion that people connect with clothing that I'm trying to get rid of.
But you've got a good solution to that because I was that person.
Yeah.
You archive them.
Absolutely. So we'll talk about archiving in a sec. But
so much to talk about.
So much to talk about. But so when it comes to clothing have no emotion, there's lots of facets to it. One of it is to remember that every brand has a different designer, different size criteria, and different pattern blocks that they use. So if something doesn't work for you or doesn't fit you, it's never your fault. It's always the clothes' fault because
I love that.
I've never met a weird body. I really, really haven't. I've got clients who are physically disabled. I've got trans women as clients. I've got so many different bodies that I dress, and no one's weird. Everyone's body is exactly how it should be. So if you put something on and it feels weird, looks weird, then there's something about that garment. Like, get it off.
Like the muffin top with the jeans.
Yeah, like I often say that no one has a muffin top in the wild. Like in the shower, no one has a muffin top. So if you have one, you've just got the wrong pants on. So it's all about the clothes. It's nothing to do with you.
Maybe I might lose some clients at the studio.
Maybe. But it's nothing to do with you. So if you've got a piece of clothing on and it looks terrible, then just take it off. And I think I would have said to you on the day, but in the change room, there's two things that happen. You either have a laugh because it's wrong, or you like it. There's no downside.
Or you used to go, cry, oh, I'm terrible, right, I'm done.
No. So, and then on the back of that, like the other facet to that is when we go shopping, there's no opinion on the shop floor. So I teach my clients about their shape, which I'm sure we'll get into in a second, but about what their shape is and how to be kind to your shape and how to look for clothes that suit the shape that you have. So when you go shopping on the shop floor with no emotion, you're not looking for things that you like, and be open-minded to look for things that might work for your shape, you have such a great time in the change room. So the thing that I don't like is when people try on 10 things and they buy one thing because they go, oh, that'll do because that's the thing that looked the best. Whereas where I come from, it's like you try 10 things on, 10 of them are probably going to look pretty good because you chose well on the shop floor, and then you pick the best of the best. So it just changes your mindset. And you'll, when I take my clients shopping, the first 10 minutes or so is very different to the last hour, because the first 10 minutes or so people are trying things on and it gets squirmy, and it's
so
a little
true.
bit,
I think we spent the most time in that first shop because I was like, oh, I'm not sure.
And there's a reason why I stick you in the one shop and give you quite a few different things to try to keep it contained and not running around to different shops to start with. We spend a lot of time in the first place because it's clients get a bit squirmy and they get a little bit self-conscious, and by the end of it, it's like very easy. Put something on, yes, no, not love it, hate it. So actually, it's not. And what I tell people, it's not about you. It's whether the clothes are good enough for you. Yeah. So we're interviewing the clothes. We're making sure that they are
great too.
Perfect for you. So with and clothes, no emotion. The other thing, like if I go back a step, if you go looking for things that you like, you'll end up with a wardrobe of very similar things.
Like my wardrobe was.
Totally. And the thing that I do probably most in people's wardrobes is break a habit. So people have a habit of buying, this is what I like to wear, so I buy lots of it. The other thing, I told you, very faceted, this clothes of no emotion. If you are buying things that you like and you end up with similar things, what can happen is you can stick yourself in a period of time. And this is why I don't like buying multiple items of the same, different colours in the same item, because you stick yourself in a time period. So I say,
you've got my husband coming up on his. That's what he does.
Really? Yeah. So the thing when you go shopping, say, and this is a really good tip for anybody, if you go shopping, and say we use trousers as a good example, if you go looking for a pair of trousers and you've been everywhere and you can't find any trousers that you like, and you're getting frustrated and you're getting upset, like this, no one's making anything, you need to stop and go, okay, what I'm looking for is no longer in fashion. I need to try something new. And be open-minded enough to go, I need something new, I need something that's different, I need to try new styles. And you've got to marinating things. And I think I said this to you, when you try things on and you're not quite sure, marinate. They're only clothes. And if you don't buy today, you'll buy something else. Like I've never had an unsuccessful shopping trip because everything, if you focus on what shape you are and looking for the clothes that fit, you're more than likely going to fit you, you'll always have a great day, always.
So on that,
yeah.
Body type, body shape. It's not that complex.
No, there's lots of if you look on the internet, it can be quite overwhelming. Yeah. There's lots and lots of different body shapes, and I think there was some stylists on TV back in the 90s who, I think did 12 different body shapes. I'm very simple when it comes to my philosophies, and I work on 4 basic women's body shapes. There are nuances in that, of course, but this is not about. It's just understanding your shape and being able to shop for it. It's not focusing in on your shape. So the fundamental thing about shape is the one that you're born with is the one that you die with. And a lot of people will say to me, my body shape's changed because I've had children now or I'm older now. And we do notice differences in our body, but it's all within the parameters of what your body shape is. Like you'll never, like I'm curvy. I've got boobs and a bum and a thin waist. I'm never going to be somebody who doesn't have that, who has
just a different version.
My bum's not going to fall off anytime soon. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you'd hope not.
I'd hope not. So it's all within the changes you notice are all within the parameters of the body shape anyway. So the 4 basic body shapes I work on, and they're called different things, but I call them athletic, inverted triangle, pear, and hourglass. And out of those 4, you can further break them down to 2, which is what I call a straight hipped or a curved hip. So it pretty much fits into that. Yeah.
When you think about those shapes that you've just said, that's exactly what your hips. You're either curvy or you're either
curvy or straight. Yeah. And there's certain things I talk to women about, like particularly if you're an athletic shape, for example, who tends to be sort of straighter through. They do have a waist, but it's not like a Marilyn Monroe waist type of thing or a Kardashian waist. It tends to be a little straighter, like Giselle Bundchen or like a Cameron Diaz type of person. And then once you talk to that person about their body shape and talk about dresses in particular, it's like, do you ever put dresses on and feel like the waist sits in the wrong space? And everyone goes, oh my gosh, yes.
Yes.
It's like, it's got nothing to do with anything else but your body. That is your body shape. So let's look for clothes that are this shape rather than the ones that you've been trying.
And when you do put a particular item of clothing on, you go, that's awesome. That's where you need to take a mental note of what style that is, because
Absolutely.
that's going to work. Yeah.
And the other thing I do with clients is, particularly based on their body shape, is when we shop, I take them to stores that one will fit we've got to take their lifestyle and into consideration as well.
Absolutely.
But take them to stores that are cut for their body shape, because every store cuts differently. And stores...
but only you would know that, because...
well, it's just trial and error.
Yes.
Because it's more about knowing what's out there and being able to recognise it. And once you understand the shape of yourself and the shape of clothes, it's like seeing the Matrix. Once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. So everything becomes about shape then. So can you see how the emotion comes completely out of clothing?
Yes.
Like you pick it up and go, that's a good shape for me, I'll try it on. The secondary things is that glittery, sparkly number going to suit my lifestyle, for example? So the lifestyle does come into it as well.
Yes.
But you'll notice when I shop with clients, lifestyle's in there. I want to dress to that person's taste, but I will push the boundaries a little bit and get you to try things on that you probably wouldn't if you're by yourself.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's the value in what you do. And I remember you looking at my wardrobe and say, okay, so you put it all into colour coordinated tops,
Yes.
which was quite cool.
Oh, that's just because I'm super anal and I love things in colour coordinate. Like, I don't know. Yeah. How can you live a life without colour coordination? Seriously.
You wouldn't want to say it now. But it
Do
was
I need
very...
an inspection after this? Are we coming? Yeah.
It was blaringly obvious that I lacked colour. It was all very Melbourne, black and grey, and your comfort clothes, I guess. So, and archiving I thought was very clever, because I refused to throw clothes out. So what if I need that one day?
Yeah.
But your solution to that?
Yeah, a practical solution, because people do have an emotional connection to clothing. And so where I come from, and I'm not the boss of somebody's wardrobe. Like I say to people all the time, if we take things out and I put them aside and you want to hang them up back in the wardrobe when I leave, of course, they're your clothes, I'm not your boss. But what I suggest is archiving, which is a really fancy name for putting stuff in a box in the garage or in an old suitcase up above your wardrobe or under the bed or wherever it fits. So the whole goal is when you walk into your wardrobe or open your wardrobe doors that everything in there is an option, and you should be able to grab anything and wear it. And if anything has a condition attached, like if it is too tight, too small, too loose, you have to wear a belt under it, too see-through, or anything that's like gives you that too much effort to wear, get rid of it.
Yep.
And
take the emotion out.
Totally. Get rid of it and put it in your archive box and put it away, because you know where it is should you ever need it in the future. And it makes those decisions easier. It's like ripping the Band-Aid off, but ever just so gently.
Yes. And then the rule, I guess, around that is, if I haven't gone to that box in the, 2 years, it's probably time to go.
Well, yes and no. See, I bring my archive box out every year, which mine's a suitcase. So every single year, and I suggest clients do this as well, I try every single piece on in my wardrobe every year, and I've been doing this professionally for 15 years, and I still do it because I decide, do I still like it? Is it vibing with me at the moment?
Might have come back, like they're talking about 90s fashion. They want to bring back
every
the
20
90s.
Years. Fashion comes around every 20 years. But things that you've had for 20 years, particularly if you're over about 40, can look like you've had it for 20 years. Yeah, so it depends what it is.
Yeah.
But so I try everything on. Do I like it? Do I miss it? I've got jackets that I'll pull back in, go, I've missed that, I'll bring it back again. And then it goes, no, have a rest again. And then some things that are in archive go, no, time to go. And my mum runs an op shop in the country, so everything goes to her, thankfully. And she's so cute. She rings me every time something sells. Those crazy shoes you had, somebody bought them. It's like fantastic.
Speaking of shoes, how, before I go to shoes.
Yes.
Another third thing for me was understanding styles.
Yes.
Can you explain what a style is and how do you
determine someone's style?
Yeah. It was obvious when you pointed it out to me.
One of the, I'm telling you all my secrets now.
Yeah, we don't have to go too in depth.
No, it's fine. So part of the reason why I sit and chat to somebody before we walk straight into the wardrobe, because I have a little visual presentation that we talk about. It's one, to get you at ease and help you understand that I'm here as a friend, not foe, and help to get you in a very logical place and set you up for what we're about to talk about when we get into your wardrobe. It's also an opportunity for me to get to know you and get to know the way you talk and your speech patterns and how your house is
being analysed.
Absolutely. How your house is decorated. Like, I'm talking to you, but I'm darting my eyes all around the place about how you've set your house up. That tells me a lot about who the person is, because quite often I feel like if I use houses in particular, people will decorate a house in their style that they really love, in a style that they really like, yet we put all our weird parameters on what our fashion is and personal life. So I feel like the house is freer, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
so it's a bit more of a free expression.
Yeah.
You know, like artwork, people have all sorts of things help me understand the person. And again, and then I go into the wardrobe, and because people usually buy as a habit, the wardrobe will tell me a really good story about where people is and where their style is.
Their like what they're most comfortable in would be their main style.
So in yours in particular, there was this real edgy rock chick type of vibe running through.
I would never describe myself as that.
No, but it was running through, and it showed me with the things that your comfort clothes, the things that you were comfortable with and things that you chose had that vibe to it. And so, and people's wardrobes are all different. I've been into wardrobes that are super frilly and girly and pretty, and others that have a real boho 70s vibe to it. So I've set up a Pinterest board for my clients and used my words, or words that clients will understand rather than technical fashion terms, and set up boards with the epitome of all those styles in it. So when we talk about style, I can show you visual cues and go, see, this is where I feel like
and
you
that's
sit.
super handy too.
Yeah.
Because
and most people will cross over a couple of different styles. I've never met anyone who's definitely one.
Just one. I think I've got 3 or 4, I think. But
so
one main
and then others sort of sprinkle around it, because you can be anything you want at the end of the day. You can dress however you like, and depending on the mood and depending on where you're going. But so that I feel like is a really nice visual reference to help people understand where their style is. So then we form a little blueprint, as we did with you. So everything we look for fits within that lifestyle or those parameters of style. So it makes shopping easier because you know exactly what you're looking for, and it helps you to determine what you're drawn towards and what works for you. So I'm a very androgynous dresser. Like, I dress like a man every day of my life. Like, it's what I like. I like things that are on the edgier side and things that are very masculine. But I'm drawn to things that are pretty and girly.
Yeah,
and,
so am I.
I did calisthenics as a
but
kid.
I look silly in frills.
If I wear a dress that's too girly, I feel like I have to curtsy to everybody, or I feel like I can't let this potty mouth out, sort of thing. And it's just not who I am. But it's how I grew up, like with sewing and calisthenics and costumes and all of that around me. So you get to the point where you look and go, oh my God, that's amazing, but it's not for me, and walk past it, and there's no pangs of regret.
Which takes away the overwhelming feeling for people like myself who don't understand it. I can now go into a shop and not be overwhelmed.
No.
Just go, you know what, this shop's actually not for me, or
it's not for you.
That section's not, or here's a piece.
Yeah, and I think we always have to keep pushing ourselves forward a little bit, but within the parameters of where our style is. So we're not going to all of a sudden turn into, like, I'm not going to dress like Tinkerbell tomorrow. It's just not who I am. But you can push yourselves within the parameters of that as well. So I think that's important too.
Yeah.
And it's also important to shop by yourself. My number one tip for clients is, particularly in the first couple of years or first year after I see them, is shop by yourself. Your friends and family love you. They'll tell you you look good in everything. So just shop by yourself. You've got to trust your gut. You've got to trust what works for you, because you make the best decisions. And in people's wardrobes, the things that stand out to me is like, this doesn't look like you. It's like, my friend talked me into it, or my mum talked me into it, or I was given it to it for a friend. Like, I can see glaringly obvious pieces in people's wardrobe that doesn't feel like them.
Yeah. Or I saw her on Instagram and it looked great on her, and I want to look like her, so I'm going to wear that.
Yeah, and a lot of people do that, going, I like that outfit, I'll buy it. Or it's things that I know a lot of magazines started this, I think, and I've seen a lot of people on TV talk about these are the must-haves for every wardrobe, and I actually don't believe in that, because every must-have list that I've seen, I don't want any of it. It's not my style.
I was going to ask you what you must have in your wardrobe list.
I wouldn't wear any of other people's must-haves. And I've been into people's wardrobes, and it's like, why do you have a blazer and a pencil skirt? You've got 5 kids and you live on a farm. It's like, well, because I worked with a stylist and she told me I need to have them. It's like, but it's not your lifestyle. So the must-haves are the key pieces that work for you. So almost like your little uniform, your safe space to go with. Me, it's jeans, T-shirt, some type of jacket. Like, that's my must-have. But then, jackets, I have 15 different styles of those. So it depends on the person. So I'm not a big believer in everybody needs to have X. Like even sneakers, I have clients who don't wear sneakers.
Yep.
I have clients who don't wear jeans.
Well, shoes for me are still kill me every time.
Shoes are shit in Australia at the moment, I have to say.
Seriously, I either buy the wrong shoe that hurts my feet, but they felt fine at the time, I get the wrong size, or they just don't go with anything. I'm still wasting money in that space.
We need to talk about shoes. Shoes are the cornerstone to every single wardrobe.
I think that's the pressure, though. I feel like the shoe is it. And
it is it. So there is pressure. However, you don't have to it's got to be comfortable. Number one, it has to be comfortable. So the cornerstone to every wardrobe is hips down. So if you've got enough bottoms and enough shoes to give variety to your wardrobe, you'll have a lot of variety in your wardrobe. And I'll just, sidebar for a second. I had a client about a year ago. She had about 85 tops in her wardrobe.
Oh, my God.
But she only had 2 pairs of trousers and they were the same, and 2 pairs of shoes and they were the same. So she was constantly buying tops to feel different, but she looked the same every single day because her outfit was the same. So the first thing we did was buy some shoes and trousers, and all of a sudden she had millions of outfits.
Yes.
So and if you're like, I'm a pants person, love pants. I got 35 pairs of trousers because that's what I wear all the time. So, and it got, okay, my wardrobe's bigger than most people, so I should just preface that.
Since our shopping spree, I have more pants now than what I ever have.
Yeah,
and
having
different
enough
styles.
bottoms. Yeah, and if you're a jeans person, have many jeans. I think I got 12 pairs of jeans, like many. So if you want to wear jeans every day, you can, but you feel different every day.
Different,
yeah,
yes.
so you have a veil of uniform through your wardrobe, but you have a different outfit every day. So that's sort of where we come to, because I want to make it realistic and approachable for everybody, so they can actually replicate it at home. It's not like I have this secret formula that no one can replicate. But when it comes to shoes are the cornerstone of a wardrobe. Like, they inform where the outfit goes. So, for example, you're wearing a blazer, t-shirt and jeans today with a pair of sneakers. Great. We're sitting on a couch, we're having a chat. You might go and get a coffee, you might do some supermarket shopping, or, pick the kids up, do that type of thing. But if you had to go for dinner tonight, you wouldn't necessarily get changed, you just change your shoes.
Yes.
Yeah, you might put on some loafers or some tie-ups, or, if you want to go somewhere fancier, you might put on some, wedge heels or something.
And it does change the look completely, a heel.
So the thing that I say is shoes are everything. So if you're wearing jeans and a t-shirt and your shoes are outdated, that outfit's outdated. If your shoes are modern, the outfit's modern. So my theory on shoes is that you don't have to like them, because they're on your foot, they're only shoes. You're not wearing them on your face. They're not a hat, they're only shoes. So they are the thing that I would suggest you push yourself the most. You don't have to be outrageous. Like, for example, lately I've been talking with clients and we've been buying shoes that are chunky, but chunky depth, not chunky width. So they can jump on board with the chunky theme without feeling like they're wearing
flippers.
Because
that's how I feel.
See, I love flippers. I love the bigger the better.
Your shoes today are
my shoes
impressive,
are massively
but you're rocking
chunky.
them.
They're rubber clogs and they're outrageously ridiculous. Ugly.
P.S. Thinking about rubber shoes, Crocs seem to be making a comeback.
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
I've got plenty of people who wear them. I'm not opposed to any shoe if people love them. I'm opposed to black ballet flats personally, just because I just can't stand them. I think they're too boring, and and I do have clients who wear them though, so it's all about them, not me.
Yeah.
Personally, the uglier and crazier the shoe, the better. I really love an ugly, chunky shoe. That's just my personal preference. But with shoes, you don't have to like them. So, for example, there's a heap of like dad sandals around this summer. They've been around for a couple of years. They will be for a little while. And if you don't like them, that's fine. My suggestion would be find a pair that offends you the least and jump on board, because it's the one thing that will up your outfit. So you don't necessarily have to go buying a heap of clothes this summer, but buy a couple of pairs of shoes. Yeah, and push the shoes, and your outfit will look amazing. And it just picks it up really quickly. It's such a simple thing to do. I probably bring in 6 to 8 pairs of shoes a year into my wardrobe. Now, I'm clumsy with shoes. I trip over all the time. I knock into things. I wreck them. So a normal person, I'd probably say about 4 or 5.
Okay, I need to up my game on them then.
Yeah, but shoes aren't. Whenever there's something national or global happening, so like elections and budgets are really, like national elections are a good time. Good example, we've just come out of a global pandemic, and everyone would be thinking, oh my gosh, fashion. I've been so busy this year because people wanting to revamp their wardrobes. And people will often think, oh my God, fashion's going to be amazing. It's actually not, because we've come out of a pandemic. Everything is very quiet and very classic and no risk, because risky clothes don't sell as well as quiet clothes. So what you're finding at the moment is, even there's exceptions to every rule, and there's a smattering of cool things around, but most shoes and clothes at the moment are very conservative, yeah, very mainstream,
not risk taking,
not at all. And there's obviously colour and things around, but it's not like other years. Like if we do pre-pandemic, like every stores will have what I call a good season. It's like, oh my God, they're having a great season, which means they've nailed it this year. Their fashion's amazing. Their offering's amazing. This year it's all just a bit like meh. And we've been able to find some good things, but I'm talking overarching as an overall.
Well, the pandemic
commentary
screwed everything. Let's face it. So I would never have thought fashion though, but
yeah, no, it always does. And
Yeah.
national elections, you'll find the same thing. Everything becomes really quiet. Like the shoes become really quiet. Like if you go into store now looking at shoes, there's a smattering of colour, but most of it is tan, beige, black.
Yeah,
like
right.
there's just not a lot of fun.
Yep.
Yeah. So I tend to buy most of my clothes here. I tend to buy Australian-owned brands because I work in the industry and I want to support them. But shoes, I've had to reach overseas. I really have because I just can't find any that here.
And that'll switch around. I'm assuming.
It will. And we've had a few stores closed during pandemic as well. So if you remember Zomp, the great shoe store that was there in Chapel Street, they're also in Flinders Lane.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and they used to have a really good variety, but they used to stock a lot of South American shoes, which were amazing, like really cool. I think they're coming back, but they closed over pandemic. So it's just been, there's a store called Mi Piace who used to love a New Zealand brand. They closed over the pandemic. So there's a few things that it's become a bit tougher.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's tough. That's just a me personal observation because I do like an ugly shoe and they're just harder to find. Yeah, they're just much harder to find.
In terms of, I'm just going to go down the photography path for a moment because I feel like it all blends in.
Yeah.
We were talking before we kicked off about photo shoots, and have you got any tips for people that if they're having a portrait or they're having a photo shoot?
Yeah. When I'm on a shoot, I'm normally the photographer, not the stylist. Yep. Although being a stylist, I notice everything. So if I'm doing a portrait shoot or a headshot shot or something like that, I'll notice if your hair's in your face or your collar's not right or, certain things about the fashion, I'll always correct that, which a lot of my clients really appreciate. But when it comes to...
Is there a colour or is it...
Simple.
Simple.
Yeah, I always err on the side of simplicity for a photo shoot because the person is the thing that needs to shine, not the clothes necessarily. There's certain colours and also it's about what looks good on camera, not your favourite clothes, for example. So you're wearing a really vibrant green jacket today. If we're doing a shoot together, I'd say don't wear that because they're going to be around everywhere. And every time you wear that jacket, go, I've seen you in that picture and you're wearing that jacket.
Do you know, I thought the same thing. I'm going to wear this today. I'm going to have photos. Now everyone's seen that jacket.
Yeah, so it's like... Go for things that are simpler, so then you're the one that stands out in them. Unless it's a fashion shoot, of course, that's a completely different thing, and the fashion becomes the hero. But it doesn't always need to be black. It can be colour. It can be anything you want. But it's really what looks good on camera. So no small prints, no small stripes, nothing that makes the camera look go a bit weird. But I'd avoid anything that's really memorable and really easily recognised because you're going to have that picture.
So your family shots, keep it simple.
Yeah, keep it simple.
Jeans and black top.
Absolutely. This is why a lot of family shots you see people in denim. It's easy, denim and white shirts, denim and black shirts, because it's easy and it's timeless. So you can have that on your wall for a number of years. And it doesn't date it for 1997 when that was taken.
What about the hairstyles?
Oh my gosh, that doesn't date it. I do love a daggy portrait though, something that looks a little bit, I've got a fashion designer friend of mine who has Mickey in the van and she loves something that's a little crazy and quirky, and we did a shoot for her sunglasses recently and we did that. Just knocked the mic, so sorry about that. She just did, I talk with my hands a lot. She dressed in her gorgeous gear, but we did the classic 80s one up, one down portraits. It was so fun.
One sitting on the edge of the chair. We're on a couch. Totally. You sit on the edge, and there's some daggy portraits at my husband's house. It's
totally
the hair. It was just next level.
Which, by the way, is if you do personal portraits for LinkedIn or family, every 12 to 18 months, get them redone. So because you don't want people to meet you and get a shock.
Which is what happened to me. It's why I'm bringing this up, because I had to have a new portrait because the one I gave to our producers, they're like, I was pre-kids and I've got a 16-year-old, so I looked amazing, but don't look the same now.
Someone handed me at a trade fair years ago when I was working corporate, handed me a business card that, you need to go and see this person. I go, great. And then I turned up and the business card was so heavily photoshopped or taken 30 years ago that I thought it was a grandmother I was talking to, which is horrible. It's like, just be yourself. Like, we've all got lines on our face, we're whatever age we are. And I really celebrate women. I shoot a lot of different people, but I really love shooting women. And when I after this really busy year, I had really good plans before the pandemic. I was going to do a great series on women, which I'll get you involved in actually, and just celebrating us and our skin and what we're in. And
I think that's really important, and that was why I wanted you to come on because you really did change my life and give me a newfound confidence. And I think midlife is something to be celebrated. We should be like, it's the best time. This is where we live. We you know, hopefully kids are through school if you've got kids, but you have all this knowledge and all this experience that you can go forth with. And here we are worrying about what we look like, and I say own it and age gracefully and age successfully.
Totally. I'm not I have no judgments about what anyone wants to do with their personal features. I don't know, I just think enjoy your life, eat cake and buy clothes that fit you.
Because you're never going to like anything about yourself, really.
No. And what I mean by that is you don't have to eat cake every day, but if you're going to go for dinner, have dessert. Like, enjoy your life. You know, like, I'm just near the other side of menopause and, like, I'm the heaviest I've ever been. But it's like, you know what, just buy clothes that fit you. Like, I can't change it.
No.
So you just embrace it and move with it, because it's the only body you've got. And I have an aunt who was in a car accident. 25, 30 years ago, where my uncle and grandmother were lost. So my aunt has been in a wheelchair ever since. And we were sitting around the pool at her holiday place once, and the other members of my family were talking about, I hate this about my body, I hate this about my body, I hate this about my body. Someone said, I hate this about my legs. And my aunt said, well, at least they work. And it was one of those blinding flashes of the obvious for me. Like, I wasn't participating in that conversation, just observing. And I just went, you're so right. You know, like, we're so critical of ourselves. But, you know, for most of us, our limbs work.
Yes.
You know, our brains work.
We wake up every morning, take a breath.
My father-in-law was diagnosed with Parkinson's. You know, like, you never know what life's going to bring you. You would know that firsthand. So you have to embrace what you have.
And I think I heard this the other day, and I really love it. It's, you've only got one life, right? We hear that all the time. But if you live it well, you don't need another one.
Yes. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
that was a light bulb moment for me as well, is like, just live it well and stop beating yourself up.
And what you said before is, like, as women, as we get older, we've got so much experience, and I feel like we sometimes can feel like the world is geared towards the young, which marketing always will, because that's what makes money. But we're the powerful ones. We're the ones who are mature, and we have the money to spend on these brands. And this is why I love supporting Melbourne brands, because they tend not to be ageist. And if we think about, like, a little brand called, a brand called Kawaii, who are in Brunswick and Fitzroy as well, their marketing campaigns are people of all sizes, all ages. And it's really lovely to see. And there's another little brand called Variety Hour, and they're the same. And they, you know, and so many brands are embracing plus size now, which is great. So I feel like
even Nike.
There's just inclusivity.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, women of age have more power than we've ever had. And I think we should really use it to our advantage and really rule the world. Like, I'm such a raging feminist.
I think I think that's a good place to end.
Yeah.
Megan, thank you so much. I know you're
welcome.
super busy, and we've tried to hook this up a couple of times now. So, but quite literally, you are a godsend to so many. So if you're out there listening and you want to,
on my resume, by the way,
you want
godsend.
You want to get hold of Megan. What is it, Megan?
Meagan Harding at meganharding.com.au.
And is there an Instagram or anything like that?
Yeah, my Instagram is photography only. I tend not to do styling on Instagram because I don't want to embarrass anybody. I don't actually
like that.
Yeah, I everything is very private. And if people want to share their own pictures,
journeys,
it's fine. It's not my job to share that journey. So my Instagram is at Meagan Harding, but it's all photography on there. Yeah,
which is inspiring anyway.
Yeah, so all my styling is very under the radar and very quiet, and people find me. It's all through word of mouth.
Which is why you're on here as well, because I want people like you to be heard.
Yeah, and it's like I'm usually booked out 4 to 6 weeks in advance. This year's been 3 months in advance.
Yes.
Like, I'm booked out till February at the moment.
We've got my hubby booked in for his 50th
Yeah.
in a couple of weeks. So,
It is,
and I'm tagging along. Ha!
Yes, and we'll get him into all sorts of weird and wonderful things you watch.
I can't wait.
It's part of the journey, though. Just my advice to everyone is just try something on weird. No one's going to die. It's just clothes.
Yeah,
so
have some fun.
Have some fun.
Yeah. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
And yay. Thank you for joining us on this episode of What Next? I'm Kirsty Robbie, and if this episode sparked any questions and you want to know more, please hit us up on our socials at whatnext_with KR, and have a great day.
You're listening to another Torched original. Are you feeling stuck when it comes to creating content for you and your business? Would you like a podcast of your very own? Or maybe you'd like to stand out and reach new audiences? Head to gettorched.com. That's GETTORCHT.com today, and we look forward to helping you on your content creation journey.